Hey everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. Over the past few weeks, we've seen a sharp shift in the global macro backdrop. Geopolitical tensions driving energy markets higher, inflation pressures reemerging, and central banks once again caught between growth and maintaining stability. And for globally exposed families, this isn't just a market conversation, it's a structural one. Where your capital is invested, where you live, and what options you have across jurisdictions are becoming increasingly interconnected. Today, we're going to explore that intersection between global markets, mobility, and long-term wealth planning. Today, I'm joined by Dalton Skach, Associate Director of Private Clients at Henley and Partners. Dalton advises ultra-high net worth individuals and families on citizenship, residency, and cross-border structuring, often around major liquidity events and generational transitions. His work sits at the intersection of investment diligence, legal coordination, and global strategy, bringing an institutional lens to decisions that extend far and beyond markets. And it's a natural synergy between what we do here at Dantes Outlook, where we help clients, many of which high net worth individuals who are global in nature. And Dalton, it's great to have you on. I consider you a good friend by now, and maybe to start, give us a little bit of a background of what got you into this role, and what do you do at Henley and Partners?
Thanks for having me, Dominic. I got into this role about 3 years ago now. Prior to that, I was a global nomad, a solopreneur, started a few businesses, and maybe in 2018, I started getting into the idea of planting more flags around the world, obtaining more residencies or citizenships. I'm a US citizen, I'm a US resident. And this is how I got into the space, started watching videos, started learning more, kind of getting the idea and the interest of collecting passports myself one day or starting a family abroad and things of that nature. And been at Henley and Partners for 3 years now, but Henley and Partners has been around for over 30 years. The firm specializes in residence and citizenship by investment. We work with private clients in almost every country throughout the world. We have 70 offices. We've been around for over 30 years. We've helped over 25,000 families obtain residency and citizenship by investment. And we also have a government advisory division as well, in which we work with a lot of the world's countries and helping them either set up or manage or grow, or sometimes even helping them shut down a program and start another one. So we're all interconnected, and it's great to be here.
Awesome, awesome. I think it's good that you have the background as a global nomad. So you kind of speak the same language, right? What are some of the cool countries you've been to or lived at?
Right. A lot of them are the ones that we offer. And so
Nice.
I have been to places like Malta and Portugal and Spain, or others, and that are also offerings that I haven't been to, like Greece or St. Kitts and Nevis and
Yeah.
the like. New Zealand is a very popular one.
Hmm.
But I've been to around 40 countries and I'm going to
Wow.
expand that here again this year, probably.
That's great. That's great. And before our conversation, you sent me the 2026 Global Mobility Report, which was fascinating. A lot of good findings. What are some interesting findings from there that you can share with us and maybe delve into the passport divide that was mentioned pretty frequently?
Yeah, no, our marketing team does a phenomenal job in putting together a handful of reports every year that get a lot of buzz, whether it be our global mobility report. We also have a passport index that ranks top passports and seeing how passports are growing in value or decreasing in value over time. I think that's one of the main observations that I like to pull out of that, seeing which countries are improving their mobility and which are not. For example, the United States over the past decade has lost about, I think it's 6 to 8 countries visa free, whereas other countries like the United Arab Emirates have grown substantially. I think they've added more than 50 countries visa free access to their passport. So that's one of the more interesting finds. And just in this globally mobile world, people are looking for more than one jurisdiction. I would say the term last year a lot was Plan B, and this year the term would really be around jurisdictional diversification. A lot of our clients here in the United States and around the world see this as the new normal.
Mm. And I imagine around, the COVID era, you had a large influx of interest, right? What has changed within those past couple of years? What has been the major focus for you?
Certainly. So, for all of the years prior to the pandemic, Henley and Partners was really working with private clients from the emerging markets. and helping them get citizenship and residency in other countries for a lot of different reasons, such as more business opportunities, for legacy planning, for actually relocating, for taxes, for education, for healthcare. You can imagine that if you're a citizen of Pakistan or South Africa, and now you become a citizen of a country in the European Union, your life changes forever, not only for you, but also your kids, your grandkids, your great grandkids, and so forth. So the pandemic was really the uh, turning point for the United States,
Mm.
in which you had a lot of wealthy Americans and they couldn't leave the United States. They were restricted throughout the world to travel. And so they were essentially stuck. And it didn't matter if they had homes or other places and other locations, they couldn't access them. And so that's when it started becoming more of an interest for US citizens. And over the following years, with the geopolitical turmoil, that's when it really grew. So prior to 2020, we really weren't in the United States, and now the United States makes up a large piece of our client market.
Interesting. And are you seeing a large interest in education, perhaps? I'll give you an anecdote. A friend of mine, their daughter wants to go to school in another country, and as we know, education is expensive, but it's less expensive in countries in Europe, for example. Is that sort of an interest that you're seeing as well?
Sometimes I would say not as much. I would say it's much more when we have, again, 70 offices worldwide. So when working with citizens from India or China or other locations throughout the world and them wanting to access the top universities in the world, a lot of them being in the United States, some of them
Mhm.
being in the UK and Singapore and other places, we do have an education division that helps out these families in doing so. But I would say for the majority of our United States clients, a big piece to them getting another citizenship, for example, is that jurisdictional diversification, that optionality, that peace of mind, and really that plan B.
Yeah. And, for us, we deal with a lot of legacy as well. A lot of the clients are probably getting older in age, so we're reaching out to their children, trying to set up a family package. What is the reason for acting now rather than later, especially as kids get older and they might seek, broader residency?
Certainly. Well, these programs do have thresholds and requirements. And
Mm.
so sometimes children can age out of these programs. And so if you have a child that's under the age of 18 and you don't act on it right now, and then maybe they turn 18, they turn 21, they turn 25, their options become more limited. And to the fact that these families, if they wanted to do this for their child in a decade from now, they're going to have to do another application for them, pay or invest more money, things like that. And right now, what we're seeing is demand has never been higher. And because of that, these countries have started increasing restrictions, increasing thresholds, all of these things. And so if you find a program, a country that offers an initiative or an investor visa that meets what you're looking for now, it's best we always suggest that clients move forward with it because there's a good chance in 3, 5, or 10 years that it will either be double in price or might be much more restrictive or be gone altogether.
Got it, got it. And is it fair to say that, this is not a luxury per se, it's more of risk management? What has been, sort of the major factor for folks seeking these residency solutions?
You're right. It very much is risk mitigation.
Hmm.
It is even considered an asset to have this. And that's what I would say on that piece.
Yeah. And the asset part of it, we talked about this ultimate portfolio concept, right? We manage,
Right.
the monetary side of the portfolios, but we noticed that there's a lifestyle beyond that, right? Which might include that global residency and other services. How does Henley and Partners think about that ultimate portfolio?
It really is dependent on each client and what they're looking for, each family, and really on their views, on their future views of the world. I'm sure you have that a lot with your clients. Every
Hmm.
client is going to see the future differently. And so, really, it's trying to understand what they're bullish on, what they're bearish on, what their preferences are. There are more than 60 residence and citizenship management programs throughout the world. So it's really trying to understand what's going to be the best portfolio for them.
Mhm.
Some families we see go, hey, they're a US citizen and they want to pursue citizenship in Europe. Some of them take 2 or 3 years to pursue citizenship and they want something more quick. So a lot of the times they'll go, hey, we want something in the Western Hemisphere or we want something in North or South America. And so they will pursue something that they can get over the next 6 or 9 months, maybe in the Caribbean, while also pursuing citizenship over in Europe at the same time, really locking in some, two different places.
Mhm.
Also, setting up bank accounts, sometimes setting up trust and estates,
Mhm.
really trying to diversify their lifestyle, their portfolio, their wealth, so that it's ultimately protected no matter what happens in the future.
Definitely, that regional diversification I think is key. And Henley and Partners has a bunch of tools which I've used going to the website and not only the reports, but you can upload your passport, right? There's an automated feature. Talk to us about that, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah, it's always advised to meet with an advisor like
Mhm.
myself first. It's complimentary. We can have as many of these calls as they like, really to understand who they are, what their goals and objectives are, and if we are the right fit for them. And if also they're the right fit for us.
Mhm.
But if you're somebody that's looking to see what programs are out there, do a little research, play around with some of the passport calculators, or
Mhm.
see what we're seeing in this world, yeah, our website, you'll see it's top rated SEO, really most traffic for residency and citizenship in general comes through us due to the phenomenal work that our marketing team does. And so you can definitely go out there, get a resource. You can meet with me. And then that way I can send you even more reports, more information, estimates, what steps would look like, and things of that nature.
Got it. And what are some of the misconceptions regarding, global residency versus global citizenship, and what are some of those pain points that you help clients mitigate?
That's a great question. One piece I would share is that a lot of people they obtain residency or citizenship there, or they want to obtain it somewhere, and sometimes they go, if I get residency or citizenship in XYZ country, does this mean I'm now going to be taxed there? And most of the time, it does not.
Mhm.
Um, just by obtaining a residency or citizenship in most countries throughout the world, almost all of them, it does not make you a tax resident of that country. Again, most of the clients we work with, over 90% of them have no intention of relocation. They just want to use their capital in order to get this asset, this residency or citizenship, and not go live there and full time, anyways. And so that is one misconception. People go, "Oh, is uh, is that going to be an issue?" Other times too, people might think, oh, hey, like you're working with this firm, you're going to be pursuing citizenship, you're getting passports, what kind of James Bond kind of stuff is this? Are you working with? And, I would say there are so many countries throughout the world that offer these programs. They have so much oversight, some of these due diligence background checks and thresholds that these people go through, you would see at top tier banks in the United States and more. So it is very diligent. That is the first thing that we do with any of our clients is we do an internal due diligence to make sure that we can work with this client, that they will be accepted. We have close to 100% acceptance rate for almost every program for US citizens. And so that is what I would say. Those are some of the most common misconceptions. Another one is people will say, do I need to renounce my US citizenship?
Mhm.
And for all the programs that we work with, that is not the case. You do not need to renounce your US citizenship. So you can obtain citizenship in St. Kitts and Nevis and Portugal and Turkey and many other countries, and residency here, residency there, and you do not need to renounce your US citizenship.
Very good. And what I've seen, there is a great respect for that diligence. There's also what I notice a genuine connection between both sides, the client seeking these residency programs and also the countries, right? I'll give you an example. When we went to the New York event that you hosted with I forget the Eastern European country. What was it again?
There was Austria.
Austria, yeah, they had their academics talking about the research institution and how they seek additional funding that was lacking from the government. So you have external investors coming in either for philanthropy projects or real investments for their startup nature, which is exciting. Can you expand on that a little bit about the genuine nature between connecting both sides?
Yeah, no, it's really a beautiful relationship and something that's growing more
Hmm.
citizenship by merit and citizenship by
Yeah.
exception. And really, what it is there are countries throughout the world, and they say, hey, if you come to our country and you provide a huge economic value or even more to
Hmm.
our community, our culture, our way of life, and you really want to show that you're going to be one of the best citizens and advocates for our country, we will give you citizenship.
Hmm.
And so there are a few countries, or a lot of countries throughout the world, that actually have this in their laws where they it goes all the way up to the prime minister or the president, where it says, hey, so and so spent $5 million and they built a school and they spent it on a hospital, or they created a whole factory that does this for people in this place. It's all in our country. And they've maybe even done some other extracurriculars. Maybe they rented a home or they bought a home or they even did some language classes or whatever it might be. Sometimes it's even like you would see this in the United States or other countries where countries will say, "Hey, if you come compete for us in the Olympics, or you come here and make some movies here, make this like you come to our
Yeah.
film festival every year. If you are just an extraordinary person that offers extraordinary value to a country, they will consider you for citizenship." So those are a few, and we're that's starting to become the norm rather than citizenship by investment. A lot of countries are still now starting to move toward this more private model of saying citizenship by merit, of saying,
Mhm.
hey, we want you to come contribute money, but also we want you to be a outstanding citizen of this country.
Fascinating. And, there's a lot of small but mighty countries out there that have exciting local entrepreneurship systems. And academics, right? Very, very interesting.
For sure. No, it's truly a phenomenal, just again, relationship where a country can come in and say, hey, like, you want this, we want this. It's very mutually beneficial. I think that a lot of countries should do this, if not most countries, and should be saying, hey, if you come here and you go above and beyond, we
Hmm.
will consider you or grant you citizenship because you're extraordinary. So it's a very good incentive.
Yeah. And the one that's kind of ringing to my head now is like a family office that would want to expand their assets abroad. That's a good way to do that. A lot of those family offices have built their wealth through the private market, so that's a natural synergy there. Any success stories that you can share that really resonated with you recently, perhaps?
Certainly. So, I mean, there's more than just the foundation and citizenship by merit, citizenship by exception. There are citizenship by investment opportunities as well. So, there are ways for your clients to invest in private equity offerings in
Mhm.
Portugal, to invest in real estate offerings in the Caribbean or Turkey, or invest in private equity and private credit funds over in New Zealand, for example. So, there are ways for these families to make true direct investments and in return either be granted residency or citizenship. Same thing with investing in real estate over in Turkey or Greece, for example. So there's a lot of ways where a client can diversify their portfolio into a new geography, another asset class with a different currency.
Mhm.
And so that's exciting. And so, but I've seen it from everywhere. I've seen some families that go do a donation and get citizenship really in the Caribbean, St. Kitts and Nevis, for example. And it's really a very straightforward process. They've been doing it for over 30 years, and they essentially ship you your passport in the mail within 9 months,
Wow.
right? So that's very exciting when I've had a handful of families that have done that. They went through the process with us, and they got their citizenships already. I do have families that have gotten residency over in Malta. I have had families that have gotten residency in New Zealand and have actually relocated there. I have families that have invested in real estate in Spain and got residency there, now split half the year there.
Mhm.
So that really is one of the more fulfilling benefits of this role, is really being able to work with a client from meeting them on a call like this all the way to seeing their residence permit or passport in hand.
Very cool. And I think we shared the Wall Street Journal article is very in depth. It talked about the New Zealand's budding startup scene and the active investor plus visa program. A lot of really cool, and it documents a family there. Anything interesting within New Zealand? Like, why is that picking up recently?
Gosh, it is just because it is one of the best countries in the world. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's on
the
my
way
bucket
that,
list.
yeah, same here, same here. And the way that they run their country, but also the culture they have there, also their environment, the
Mm,
beauty, the health, the education, the way their system works. Also, as we can see, New Zealand is not involved in really anything globally. They stick to themselves. They're not worrying about what's not worrying. They're not dealing with what's going on in the Middle East. They are an island, so they really don't have to deal with immigration concerns a lot of the way too. A lot of times New Zealand is actually on some types this has happened where they fall off the map. Like truly, sometimes people publish pictures of a map and it doesn't have New Zealand on. And so I think people liked being off the grid because in the United States, that's basically US citizens really see themselves as being like a lot of the time the only country because everywhere in the world is focusing on the United States 24/7. Some
hmm
people just want to go disconnect. They want to lead a healthy lifestyle. They want all of those things. And what's so great about New Zealand is that they have great fund managers in New Zealand,
Yeah.
very strong and stable currency. They also have phenomenal entrepreneurs and investment opportunities there. And so they have a threshold that is around 5 million New Zealand dollars, which is around 3 million US dollars. So
hmm
they do a really good job of saying, hey, like there is Greece where you can get somebody investing a quarter million euros and getting some real estate. That's one kind of investor. But if you're an investor that is investing 3 million US dollars into private credit over in New Zealand, that's a whole different sophistication level. And so really it comes down to community. I mean, really community is what brings value to most things in the world. It's
Yeah.
what brings value to a state, a city, a college, and really membership clubs and the like. And so New Zealand basically has one of the strongest membership communities with the investor visa, I would say.
Yeah, and from the investment perspective, it's good to see that the countries are involved in building up that scene to stimulate more inflows, right? For us, we always look at relative valuation too. The U.S. market has gotten more expensive, especially within private markets. There's lockups, there's high valuations, but if you look at areas like the APAC region, much lower valuations and much more of I think, a larger scope for gains, perhaps. So that could be interesting for investors looking for opportunities abroad, perhaps, right?
Certainly,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, no, and I think another great destination that is more popular with our European and Middle East and Africa and
hmm
other offices in Asia and throughout the world, not really with United States, but with all these other areas of the world, is the United Arab Emirates. So that
hmm
has been one that's it's not a secret, right? Everybody's been going to the UAE for all the things that we mentioned previously in terms of its accessibility to the best things in the world, but also one country that we have seen growing in the media more, which has been Saudi Arabia.
hmm
And I believe that you do some business there,
Yeah.
or yeah. And so, them being more welcoming to residents, investors as well. So that's been growing too.
Yeah. And Saudi is amazing. A lot of good friends out there, and I hope to be back this year, hopefully. But yeah, I think their real estate market also just opened up for international investment. So a lot of good developments in that region. Yeah.
Certainly. Yep. Absolutely.
And lastly, I think you know, what are sort of the main, areas we talked about earlier? Like there's a strategic element for risk mitigation, perhaps. Any sort of liquidity events that would trigger a conversation.
We do see a lot of exited entrepreneurs reach out to us in the United States after
Mhm.
they've made their money and are thinking about what they want to do next. Happens very frequently. They are retired and now they don't have maybe much time to focus on their business anymore. And maybe they start
Mhm.
watching the news and their mind goes all over the place and they go, hey, we want some more optionality. Maybe we want to relocate. Maybe we want a plan B, whatever it might be. And now they have the funds to do so. And they're working with their wealth managers, working with their family offices, and they're starting to bring this up a lot. And they're going, hey, what should I be thinking about? How can I protect myself? in this current geopolitical scene. So I would say we work with so many exited entrepreneurs that definitely this comes to mind.
Definitely. And, on our point, as an advisor, it's very good to have this vetted network of experts around us, to provide a holistic wealth management approach for our clients. Can you, give a little bit of insight in terms of how you work with advisors and sort of a call to action for the listeners?
Certainly, no, it is all built around trust, which is why we have such a great relationship as well. And with other advisors in our network, it really is one of those things when somebody works with us or they work with you and we make a referral to people in our network, they know that they're getting the best of the best. They know that they're going to go onto ChatGPT or Claude or whatever their AI platform is, and they're going to go on Google and they're going to do their research. They're going to meet with the people that you introduce, and they're just going to
Mhm.
go, well, now I like you even more because I could trust you to bring me to another trusted advisor. I can talk to
Yes.
that person, and that person is going to bring me to another trusted advisor. So, really, that's how we see ourselves as a value add to firms like yourself, to other family offices, and the like. Is really just saying, hey, if you have somebody that needs help with anything, whether it be residency and citizenship by investment, whether it's citizenship by descent, it could be concierge services, could be yacht brokers, private jets, could be art, could be, so many other things, education, healthcare, that you just go, okay, we have people, people like myself that
Mhm.
are able to assist with that so that we can stay all in the same network. And then these clients know, hey, we've already worked together. This is going to be seamless.
Awesome, awesome. This was a great conversation, Dalton. Always great to have you on and chat about global residency and more with you. And hope to see you at a future event. We also need some climate diversification, so hopefully in the sunny side, all right?
That's right. I'll see you soon, Dominic. Thanks for having
Great.
me.
Thank you so much, Dalton. Take care.
Thanks.